So hi, one of the Good Noise podcast. I'm Shane.
I'm Glory.
And we're here with...
Adam.
Alex.
I'm Dan.
I'm Nick.
And I'm Mike. And we're Flip Rushmore.
And we're going to ask some questions today. I'm going to start. So what inspired you guys to start the band, and what does the band name mean?
Sure. The three of us, myself, Dan, and Nick, we played music in Minneapolis a few years back with a different band called Cosmonaut. And we sort of like branched that into a new project and reached out to Adam because not only was he a drummer, but he had some skills on the production side and so like electronic beats and that kind of thing. And we made the first album a few years ago, and then Mike was so nice as to join the quartet, make it a quintet, and we've been rocking and rolling with five for the last couple of years.
Hell yeah.
Solid.
Mm-hmm.
And the name.
Oh, right. Yeah, that was one of those processes where you spend like a year trying to come up with like something that's really good, and you can't because there's too much pressure on you. So I think we eventually just took a couple ideas. Like we had some names with like Rushmore, and we had some like the word flip was kind of like we put them together, and then we're like, oh, okay, that sounds pretty good. And there's some like symbolism you can get into, but I think it was just like, we need a name, and this is like this is better than what we've been coming up with lately, so let's go with it.
I think the big thing that I remember at least was a big factor was like SEO, or like what do you get when you Google the name? So we had a few names picked out, and then it's like, hey, I Googled it and this came up. So one of the reasons why Flip got picked is because I don't think anything came up when we Googled it. So we're hey.
We're very business forward. That's
forward thinking. Nice show. So congratulations on your newest release, The Loathsome Crowded West. How do you feel about the response to it so far?
Mike, you want to take that one?
Well, I feel like the response has been pretty good. I don't have all the data. Alex is more the data guy than I am, but you know, it's been doing pretty well on Spotify and YouTube, and I've seen some engagement online. I've gotten good personal feedback on it, which is really fun. So things have been good and fun for the past 2 or 3 weeks that it's been out. I don't know, Alex, any additional numbers you want to share on it?
Yeah, I mean, we've been like locked up like everybody else, and watching YouTube videos about marketing schemes and things like that. And one of the key takeaways is like, all right, if we're going to put out 4 songs this year, which we're doing, how to like build on each one and make it like reach a little bit further. And so between song 1 and song 2 now, like that's gone pretty well. And you know, being in Minneapolis, it's a very like live music centric scene. Like that's how you kind of move up the ladder is by playing live a lot and kind of having a presence there. And so being that there's not a lot of live opportunities right now, or for the past year and a half, like it's definitely tough, but we've tried to make the most out of the situation until we can actually like, you know, get on stage again and make an impact that way and be weird.
Okay.
Yeah.
And be weird. Yeah.
Be weird. Yeah.
So is there any meaning behind the single name or the cover art?
Is there?
Gosh.
A
Yeah.
bunch.
What do you got, Nick?
Ooh, well, it's, you know, to me, it was an obvious reference to the seminal album by Modest Mouse, of course, Loathsome Crowded West. And yeah, there's a lot about TV in it and kind of how we live our lives through screens, you know, like obviously not maybe TV as much anymore. Now it's just all digital media and marketing and monetizing our everyday life experiences as much as we can. But yeah, Smith is really the wordsmith. No pun intended. Maybe I'm a wordsmith. Yeah. But yeah, Smith, well, Mike primarily wrote all the chords and stuff, so he's the songsmith and Smith is the wordsmith there. So maybe he could enlighten me about it more. I don't even know.
I just like how Alex tries to push all the questions off on other people, and it winds up getting bounced back to him every single time without
every
fail.
single time.
I mean, yeah, we Nick mostly covered the answer. I thought that was pretty good.
Oh,
Good job, Nick. You did great.
Cool. Smarter than I thought.
So can you guys tell me a little bit about your writing process for the single?
Yeah, Mike just made a video on this.
Yeah. Well, it's given what happened the past year, I feel like that changed how a lot of bands operated. But I remember the fundamentals of this one we got underway prior to COVID. I think, only being in the band now for just over 2 years, when I started, we were talking about the genesis of what we wanted to do, make an EP, make an album, start writing songs. And so, from what I can tell, how this band works is we will write our own ideas and bring it together and say, hey, I have this, let's build off of it. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a really fun way for us to operate. It's tough because Alex lives in Nashville, so we don't always have an opportunity to be in the same room together and jam things out, which is another common way for bands to write songs, is to just be in the same room together and jam. And a lot of magic happens that way. And I think that there's some magic that happened on this song that happened when we were in the studio together, when we were able to do that. But this song in particular was just an idea that I had come up with, and I sent along, initial demos to the band, and everybody got a chance to kind of get their hands into it and make some tweaks. And then, as most things do, they change a little bit once you get into the recording studio. And, we were lucky enough, in my opinion, to work with just a really great engineer and producer, Adam Tucker at Signature Tone here in Richfield, Minnesota. And he brought a lot of expertise. And that was my first time in the studio that I really appreciated, especially when it came to like shaping the sound of it. I think everyone would agree that he did a great job of finding sounds that were going to sound really big for this song, because it's kind of a big anthemic song. And the payoff was awesome. And so everybody, in the band got to, put their own little mark on the song. And I think that's why it's, all 4 of the songs in this, I think, are incredibly strong, because everybody had a ton of input on how the songs were made.
Hell yeah.
Solid. All right.
So where was your headspace at while you guys are writing this?
I think our headspace. Oh,
you go, Adam.
Okay,
yeah,
Adam. So I think it started off kind of like what Mike was describing. It's like, well, what are we going to do now? We just came out with a full album like a year ago, and we've been playing some shows, but now we need to do something else. So this was before COVID really was a thing. So we were kind of hemming and hawing a bit, and then all of a sudden, bam, the world shuts down.
Yeah.
So we feel like, the world kind of decided, hey, this is what we're going to do now. We're going to all be separate.
Yeah.
But that had such a big influence, like what everybody was saying. It forced us to go from, whereas the 4 of us minus Alex might have gone and jammed together, but now we kind of all have to have our own separate headspaces, so to speak. And I don't know if I could speak for the others, but at least with my headspace, when we started, going from band practice to Zoom meetings about stuff, was just thinking about how can we try to look at this as positive as possible? How can we look at this as, not, oh my gosh, we're losing out on all our chances to play shows. It's like, how can we introduce a cliche? How can we make lemonade out of our lemons?
Yeah.
And I think that was really at least where my headspace was, all of these songs, just thinking about how can we do something that we would have never thought of doing because of our limitations and constraints.
Okay. Was songwriting the conversion from like writing in a room together for the most part to going fairly virtual easier for you guys because Alex was already in a different state to begin with?
I would say so. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of been, I didn't mean to just take that one. I'm sorry. But,
take it.
Take it, Dan.
But yeah, no, I mean, that's kind of always been the way this is operated, even before, I mean, it wasn't quite as separated. We were kind of able to work when we could and all that, but COVID made it a whole lot harder. But I mean, we've always kind of operated with Alex being elsewhere, even years and years ago, when before it was Flip Rushmore and it was Cosmonaut. It was slightly different lineup and stuff like that. So we kind of just continued to adapt to that, and it it seemed to work well just because we were sort of used to that kind of arrangement already.
Okay.
All right.
I think an understated aspect that helped was how far technology's come along in the past couple years. That allowed us really easily collaborate with each other virtually. Even setting up a Zoom meeting, like everyone sharing files. You can record directly into your computer with all the different modeling software for everything and MIDI instruments, and so that was a huge aspect of allowing us to continue to be successful and productive over the past year. Was just the fact that we had the ability to do it so easily compared to maybe even like 3 or 4 years ago where we wouldn't have been able to do anything like this.
Yeah, I think it was like more inspiration for us to like learn some more of those production techniques and like really kind of bring even more finished songs to the table. Like Loathsome Crowded West, like when Mike sent it to us, was like pretty much like the whole song. I mean, without lyrics and stuff, but like he pretty much had everything there, like all the drums and everything. And then, we change this, we do a hit there, the words come here, get sweet guitar solo at the end, yada yada.
Of course.
And more reverb, obviously.
Of course.
Gotta have more reverb.
A lot of reverb.
Yeah, a lot of verb, real wet. Yeah, but I don't know. It's really increased all of our skill sets in that area, and it's been really fun to like I play with other bands, and every other band I play with is basically the sit in the room and write the song kind of type, instead of like sort of create it like one stack at a time, through production, sharing files with each other. So yeah, it's really fun to work with this band in that aspect.
That's very wholesome. Happy you're enjoying it.
Yeah, thanks.
So while going through these couple songs, what band or artist influences pop out the most to you guys?
You're gonna get 5 different answers.
I'm listening.
So for me, at least, it's kind of funny. I'm in this band, and I feel like a lot of the music I listen to is not at all what we play, but I think the way it translates ends up being kind of cool. Like I've listened to a lot of synthwave, so like that Stranger Things type music. And I also listen to I guess this kind of is more in the vein, but like hard rock, or even a little bit into the metal phase or metal world. I feel like usually when I send demos now, it's hey Adam, this sounds a little too like 80s music, or hey Adam, let's crank that gain on the guitar back like 7 points. But the cool thing is that when you record something, it doesn't really matter the tone or the sound, like it's the notes. So you can always change that tone, and it changes the total feel of the song without actually changing the chords and all that. So
I'm glad you brought up the 80s thing, because I did hear just the tiniest bit of New Order on it, and I was like, I don't know if I'm crazy for hearing that, but since you mentioned it, I don't think I am.
I was thinking Interpol when Mike first brought the track to us, so similar-ish to New Order,
All right.
Mike, your jumping off point was like Hippocampus, right? Is Violet? Is that what it was?
Yeah. Well, yes, just a little bit.
Rhythmically.
No losses. The guitar rhythm to Violet is, I basically ripped completely for this song, but nothing else.
No shame in that.
None of the chords or anything are the same, but I feel like when I listen back to even the first demos, I'm getting like a very Strokes Interpol vibe from where that came from, which is funny because I don't typically listen to those bands a lot, but inspiration just kind of hits from anywhere, and I think that's what's cool, is that everybody has a different interpretation of how things sound. And so I don't know, thanks Hippocampus for the rhythm, really helpful.
Thanks for that. Nice.
Like Mike and Dan and sometimes Nick, they're all in like a cover band, and I feel like that kind of creeps its way, like some of those old rock hits, like 70s, 80s, etc. Like I feel like every once in a while you can definitely pick up on some of that, which I think is kind of funny. But
you're totally right. You're totally right.
Yeah.
I mean, like being in a cover band is nice because you get to learn, essentially hit songs.
Yeah.
Because nobody wants to go watch a cover band play deep cuts, unfortunately. So, so you got to learn the hits, and songs are hits for a reason. Because people, there's something about it that catches people's ear, and I think that Alex is totally right. It kind of just seeps into you as a player. Is like, what are the trends? And you're not even consciously thinking about it, but being able to build a song that is memorable and catchy throughout is definitely an art in its own. And not to say that cover bands are ever going to be playing this song, but those kinds of fingers crossed.
Future's crazy, man.
Yeah, maybe I'm speaking it into existence right now, ideally. But
manifest.
Yeah, we're manifesting here,
as you should.
As we should, exactly. But that's even for my influences too. Like, it all just filters out into, when you pick up a guitar or sit down at a keyboard, the influences just get filtered through your brain and into your hands. And that's what ends up coming out. And I think that's the fun part of making music. It's just like, you never always know where it's going to go, but the things that you listen to always have an effect, whether conscious or not.
Yeah. So this question should be super, super quick. Off the top of your heads, I want you to describe the single for new listeners in 3 words. No more, no less. All 5 of you have to do it.
Not me.
Can we go?
No, you have to do too.
No, but not me first.
Oh, okay. It's like, come on, you can't skip that.
No, I won't skip.
We wrote up a little blurb where we said it was polemical and danceable. That was our big idea.
Polemical.
But it's angry, and it's also like you can get boogie a little bit.
Okay, all right, thank you. Well, that was one. So
bang your head. That's how I'll describe it.
Oh, okay. Nice. Yeah, I don't know what polemical means, but yeah, I would say it's angry but fun.
Okay.
See. Wild disestablishment rock.
Okay.
Dang, everyone's got these $5 words here.
Jump around a lot.
That works too.
Good. All right. So is there a certain feeling or emotion you want your listeners to have while going through this track?
For me, I would probably say anger. It's a very kind of like, there's like at certain points of it, you just kind of, it like builds up, and it's just like, it's a fun song. It's like melodic, and like I said, it's kind of dancey and whatever, but you should feel a little bit of like frustration, I think, within the words and how it all develops.
Okay. So you guys have mentioned a couple of other tracks. What can you guys tell us about them? You said they're coming later this year.
Adam, what do you got on 9?
Sure. So as mentioned, we do have 2 more tracks off the EP that will be coming out later this year. They're definitely going to have different vibes. I feel like we almost chose these 4 songs subconsciously in an effort to kind of see what is going to stick. Because our last album was more of like I guess the songwriting was more driven by Alex. So things had more of a consistent sound, but now with 5 of us in the band, and with, me starting to bring out a little more of my influence, Mike is, and Dan's always just shredding and stuff. But like, I feel like it kind of made you need to ask yourself, what kind of band are we going to be? So that said, the next 2 songs are going to be different. 9 is, I don't want to get too deep into like what the subject matter is, but it is going to have I don't want to use the word political. It's more of like a societal kind of subject matter. You know, we wanted to make people kind of apply to what the mentality was in 2020. It's like, hey, here's something about our society. It's like, is this good? Is this bad? So we definitely have the subject matter, the lyrics in that regard. And then as far as music goes, very, very different. So the next song is going to be a song I started. So knowing my electronic influence is going to be more electronics. It's going to be a little, I don't want to say heavy emotionally, but it just, there's a little bit more of that kind of heartstrings in it, as opposed to, you know, a punk song might just be, I mean, it's still emotion, but it's not quite the melancholy type of feeling.
Okay.
Mine is very melancholy for sure.
All right.
Yeah. So then Nick started the final song that will be coming out, and that will probably be a little bit more of like the Loathsome Crowded West.
A little rockier for sure.
Yeah.
All right.
So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what everybody thinks is their favorite, and then whatever sticks the most is what we could probably see ourselves.
That's what will be forever after that.
Yeah, right.
It's locked in,
changing ever again.
We're slaves to the algorithm, so whichever one performs the best.
That's all you'll be doing. Yeah. All right. So for the last couple questions, we're actually going to shift away from music, if that's okay with you guys.
Let's do it.
All right. So we're going to go straight to death row.
Boom.
So if you're on death row, what would your last meal be with a drink?
Dang.
Yeah.
That's a tough one. I ate at Manny's once. That was really incredible. I believe I had some aged filet mignon and
filet.
Sorry, my dad calls it filet mignon, so it comes out every now and then. Yeah, and then I had like just the biggest piece of French slope pie I'd ever seen.
Ooh.
What did I have to drink? I don't know. Probably a bunch of cocktails.
All right.
Birthday.
Sounds good.
You know. Yeah, it was good. Maybe that.
Okay.
I'd probably have to second Nick. I too have been fortunate enough to go to Manny's and try $100 steak.
Yeah.
I would probably have their porterhouse because it's like 3 times the size of the filet.
Oh, yeah.
I would have a big plate of hash browns, like the kind of hash browns where like there's that nice coating of like brown crispiness, and then you stick your fork inside. And then with that, I will probably have an old fashioned followed by a 30-year-old scotch.
All right.
Nice.
Fancy.
I don't plan on being death row. Don't think that just because I have this thought out means I plan on it. But
it's all hypothetical.
I know.
I would say there's this barbecue place downtown called Market Barbecue. Just like straight up, so many ribs. I don't know, a lot of mac and cheese, that type of thing. Yeah, and many beers too.
Oh
yeah,
that'd be good with it then, I guess. Yeah,
that's a good one.
Ooh, don't speak all at once.
Yes.
I'd ask my mom to cook me something. I don't know.
How cute.
I don't know if she'd want to cook for someone on death row, so don't know if that's gonna work.
Yeah, it could be awkward.
If it's her son.
It's true.
I'm just gonna go with fried chicken and ice cream.
All right.
Interesting.
Simple enough.
Nice. Can't go wrong with that. Yeah.
So I have the honor of asking the last question, and every single person that we have spoken to have said that it is the most important question. What's your favorite color?
Blue.
Cyan.
Well, that's a better one, yeah.
Seafoam.
Seafoam, yeah.
Seafoam, yep.
Cyan and seafoam are kind of the same thing.
No, they're not, Dan.
I mean, that's kind of what I meant.
Cerulean in there somewhere.
Ooh.
I was gonna say, since we're at paint swatch colors, how about azure?
Ooh.
Anybody else owe me a color?
Mike?
Well, I should
Is it
say green
green?
because it's my last name, but I think I like blue the most.
Okay.
Who's good?
So as I said, that's all the questions we have today. Is there anything that you guys would like to plug?
check out our new single, The Loathsome Crowded West, on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Music, all that stuff. We got a new EP coming out later this year, and stay tuned for weekly video content on YouTube.
Oh yeah.
Solid.
Well,
Like
thank you.
and subscribe.
Yeah.
Obviously, yeah.
Smash that.
Oh yeah, and you gotta smash
button.
that bell icon.
Smash it.
Of course, so you can be notified every single time we upload something.
Add our songs to playlists and favorite them
Yes.
for the algos.
Thank you.
Of course, the algorithm.
All right, I'll do that after this.
Well, thank you.
It also gives us about like 100th or 1,000th of a cent.
Oh,
If you're starting musicians.
Listen, if
We
you
appreciate,
if you get enough streams, you could go to McDonald's with that and get like a
Right.
small
Exactly.
fry.
Send us to McDonald's.
Yeah.
Send us to McDonald's.
You guys can split a small fry across the 5 of you on tour. It'll be
Yeah.
great. Well, thank you for snow. This guy's been Flip Rushmore and Really Good Noise podcast.